So guys, now I will show you how to configure Dynamic NAT. So I am on Cisco ASA firewall and I have removed the previous static NAT configuration. You should also undo the previous static NAT configuration. So now what I will going to do is that in order to configure Dynamic NAT, we already know that we have to configure two pools, the real IP address pool and the mapped IP address pool. So on a Cisco ASA firewall, go to the terminal mode and let us configure the mapped IP address pool. So object network mapped pool, and I will say in mapped IP address pool I am assigning a range of public IP addresses, right? So you can see that from public IP address 100.0.0.10 to public IP address 100.0.0.100, I have placed this range of IP addresses in the mapped IP address pool. The name of the pool is mapped-pool. So total of 91 IP addresses I have put in this mapped IP address pool. Second thing, now we will going to configure the real IP address pool. So the name of the pool is real-pool, and I will say that all the IP addresses which fall in this subnet are the members of this real IP address pool. Alright, and now finally I will going to configure the network address translation rule. So network address translation rule need to be configured under the real IP address pool. So I will say NAT inside outside the keyword dynamic and just specify mapped pool name, and we are done. So the meaning of this configuration is that any packet which hits the Cisco ASA firewall on the inside interface and has a source address which belong to this subnet range will have its source address replaced by any IP address which belong to this mapped pool. And that IP address from mapped pool will be chosen dynamically. That is, the device itself will choose the address depending on the availability, and after translation, that is when the source address of the packet is replaced successfully, the packet will be pushed out of the interface outside, right? So now in this topology, having configured this network address translation rule, if I go to the web server WS1 and now I want to ping some public machine, let's say I want to ping a web server WS2 which is sitting outside on the public network, and I want to ping this server from the internal user. Let's say the internal user is WS1. So let's see if I am able to ping, and I am able to ping. You can try again, you will get 100%, right? Similarly, from WS1 can you ping another public machine, let's say 129.0.0.1, which is nothing but host H2 on the public network, and I am able to ping. Can you ping the third public machine? And yes, you are able to ping. So now if you see the output of show xlate, sorry, you have to check the output on the Cisco ASA firewall because the translation is happening on the firewall, and you can see this is the latest translation entry that is present on the Cisco ASA firewall. Alright, because we pinged 3 public machines from the same internal machine WS1. So 3 translations had happened, but out of these 3 translations, only the latest entry will be present in the Cisco ASA firewall show xlate output. The reason is that it is the same internal user who was trying to contact different public machines. Alright. So let's go to the FTP server, that is another internal user, and let's say that this internal user tried to ping the public machine 130.0.0.1. So Dynamic NAT will come into the picture, and you can see that the ping is successful. So now you can go to Cisco ASA firewall and now check the entries. You will see two entries now. So two entries means two internal users have undergone translation. One user was 10.00.10, which is our WS1 web server, and the second user was 10.00.20, which is our FTP server. So both are internal user. And you can see that the source IP address 10.00.10 has been replaced by public IP address 100.0.0.68, which is randomly chosen by the firewall device from its mapped IP address pool. And similarly, the source IP address 10.00.20 is replaced by public IP address 100.0.0.16, which is again chosen randomly from the mapped pool by the Cisco ASA firewall device. Alright, and you can see that these NAT entries, that is this translation, has expiry time, and that expiry time is 3 hours. Right? If there is no exchange of data for 3 hours, then this translation entry would going to be deleted, and the public IP address 100.0.0.16 would going to be returned to the mapped IP pool. Right? So when we discussed last time, I remember that I mentioned that the timeout period is 3 minutes. It's not 3 minutes or 120 seconds, it's 3 hours, which is pretty much long time. So you can see that firewall is actually counting the time since when there has been no exchange of packets between internal user and the external user. Alright, so you can see that dynamic network address translation is working. Every time a new user tries to contact any public host, the Cisco ASA firewall will exercise its dynamic NAT and pick up a new public address from the mapped IP pool if available, and if it is not available, then that packet which is going from inside to outside will be dropped. So now I leave it as an exercise to you. You just ping from internal user to the external user and try to capture the packet on the inside interface and the outside interface of the Cisco ASA firewall, and try to see how source and destination address undergo translation and untranslation like we did in the previous exercise when we discussed static NAT.